You have. That's not bad. And we can actually use NG class for this. That looks fine. We'll have to work with the maybe changing the font color back to what it should be. Let me show you how we could have done that with NG class just for the heck of it. And let's see what you're using again. Hey Sal, both say champion skill. Dude, it's no matter how I use NG class today, it just doesn't work. Stats win. So that case, I should have at least one where this class kicks in. This group item success. So we should just not just avoid NG class for the rest of the stream. List group item success. Did I spell that right? List group item success. Yep. So yeah, guys, I don't recommend using NG class. As much as I love Angular, sometimes a couple things aren't what they should be. Did I misspell success? Oops. Good catch. Thanks. So there we go. And then if we want to, yeah, thank you so much there, Spancia. Oh, and I have to update this, you're saying? I have KDA here. Oh, I see what you're saying. Are we referencing the one? Oh, good catch there. Good job, guys. Thank you, Little Smith. Did that fix it? Alright, and now let me add and then what I need to do is make this text show up in black. So I'm just going to add a style to that. It's not too bad. It's just hard to, maybe if I change the border, it will make each game stand out more, but right now they're all blending in. But yeah, props to Mike there for the catch. Mr. Baba for the idea for the each game. So let's see here. Let me change the border for each row. And then somewhere in here, there's another setting for left and right. Let's get rid of the like success and the danger for the background for now. But yeah, Mr. Baba, you can see how you could have done it with just ng class. Avoids having to copy and paste that twice. And then the idea is in the future, you don't want to have to make changes to two different blocks of div. So if we're able to just keep it to one, then that's fine. The next thing I want to do, guys, is commit, of course. Again, sorry we spent so much time on just that. Let's commit. I know sometimes this doesn't like to work. But then you just keep trying and then it goes through. I'll try to commit in just a second. Seems like nothing's working tonight. Alright, I'll try in a minute. The next thing I want to do is I want to make this classic and ranked headings show a little better. So let's do that. Let's go to summer.js. Remember we started off writing this loop statement we're going to need. Because we're going to need a loop through each game. So if we go to our console here. Console, let's expand out our match, our games. This is what we're going to look at. We're going to look at game mode and game type. Or no, game mode and subtype, rather. And for game mode, all I really have to do is just put everything but the first letter lowercase. And then for the subtype, if it's normal, again, just have the first letter be uppercase. But then there's other cases here. We have rank. Where's the subtype for rank? We have rank solo. We just need a better way of. We might just add a new key here. So let's get to that. So it's probably important that we get all the So does anyone know where I can get all the queue types? It might be on their documentation as one of the static arrays. So let's look here. Game constants. There we go. This is all the game queue configs. And this is how we might want it to look like, sorta. But we can use this table right here. Yeah, there's several of them. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to app.js and I'm just gonna define another global function. Sorry about that. I'm still trying to sync, by the way, and just GitHub keeps failing. But here, I'm just gonna make a new function that I can use that's just gonna return a nice label for me. And what I mean by label is just this label right here for each game. So this function is gonna take, let's see. I think the first label is always going to be game match mode. And for all these modes, all we really have to do is just make the first letter capital. So that's the first parameter we're going to pass. So you can use the queue type to get name easier than editing the original name. Queue type. So let's see. You might be right. Is that another value in here? Queue type? Another key? Where is that? Is that on match history 2.2 by any chance? Yeah, I don't see queue type. Let me know what you're talking about. I'm gonna keep programming this until I read what you mean. So we got mode. What's the other? Queue type. Queue and then queue. Was originalist you looked at on static data? Talking about this? Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna use this. Yep. Oh, okay. I see. That give me. Well, yeah, this is a table I got pulled up. I'm gonna just use this to build in some, or to build a case for all of these. I think for tonight though, I'm just gonna do the ones that are more popular, and then later on some spare time I'll commit them all eventually. But yes. Alright, so for mode, I'm gonna do this. Let me look up the console. So let's say I have a string. This will work, but then how to get the rest? Maybe I should just let's look this up. Might be a better solution. I don't want to come up with a solution and it's not really that optimal. I think I looked at this the other day. Oh, okay. So that's car at 1. Just to make sure it doesn't hurt to just make it uppercase. Although we already know it's uppercase. But you never know. And then the other thing they use is splice. Which just cuts that string array of characters. It's cuts it off at this index 1. I think that makes sense. Alright, so that fixes our mode. And then for our queue type, we need to look up all these at this giant table. But let's start off with just the 3 most popular. Doesn't hurt to use a case statement for this. Let's do case 1Q. I want to make sure the case is the same in JavaScript. No, it should be a switch statement rather. So a switch statement is kind of like a shorthand of if and else. This variable in here, we're gonna do something for a couple cases we're gonna define. So the first case is when q is equal to let's do this one first. And this is wrong. I had to pull this up because you don't usually do case statements, and then this is the break. This is the block of code below. So what we're gonna do, I wonder if a return makes more sense. No, I don't think return works right there. It might work. But all I'm gonna do is when q is equal to rank solo, I'm gonna set q to solo q. Is that fine? That's how everyone knows it by. Make the Ground shake. Alright, so we'll call it solo queue if everyone agrees. That's an okay way to refer to it. I think that's what everyone refers it to. I think the next popular one would just be normal 5v5 blind. I'm glad you like the music. It's that monster, was it Monster Cat? Was it you who suggested it? Yeah, Monster Cat. You made a great suggestion if that was you. It might have been Little Smith. Alright, so for no normal 5v5 blind, how should we refer to that, guys? Alright, so now we define our function. So far I just got 2 in here. But we definitely gonna need more eventually, but I just wanna get moving here. Alright, so now we have our function here. And all you need to pass in is just mode and queue. So if we go to our summoner.js, and here we're gonna loop through each match, each game in the match array. This is the array match.games, and then I'm going to reference each object in that array by using just match. So then I'm going to say that match label, and let's make sure that key's not being occupied already. Alright, so here's our match object. Maybe we should call it something like clean label in case label ever does get used by Riot. Call this clean label. Then I'm going to call my global function, which is just, whoops, this should not be that. This should be make game mode label. That's an okay function name. Could be better though. And then in here we're just gonna pass in first the game mode, which, what was it? Just game mode. And then the game queue type, which I think is just a subtype actually. So that's going to add this new key here called clean label to our match array. So now if we go to summoner HTML and let's look at here, instead of displaying game mode and game and the subtype, we're just going to say match clean label. And let's try that. We got an error. That's okay. We can debug this. Unexpected identifier. Alright, I saw what happened. Let's see, Riot. I mean, app.js. I forgot a plus sign. Yeah, sure. We'll do champion play next. I like it when I get requests, guys. Oh, and then I misspelled splice, maybe. It's a slice? I think it's slice, not splice. App.js, sorry. I think it's slice. Let's So it worked for some of them. Oh, okay, I know what happened. Let's see if that works. Okay. Let me see if GitHub is working now. Still not working. I noticed last time I couldn't upload this to GitHub, and then all of a sudden it started working eventually. Alright, so that's kind of better. Normal. Not sure why we have all caps normal here. We can make our labels better. I don't know. I don't think classic is necessary. We just need to come up with a nice naming convention for all the subtypes. Yeah, we got a lot of details still we got to put in here. We're working on that. So the next thing we'll do is the champion you played. That's not too difficult. But what I'm trying to debug right now is, let's see, the first game we have subtype equals normal. So we have Q. Classic, normal. Something that's the same right here. Normal equals summoner ref. See, and I was looking here why I don't have one just called normal. But oh, it's in the subtype. Yep, you're right. So here's no, I don't see normal. Oh, yep, here's the subtype. I gotcha. So yeah, let's. And what do they use for that? Let's just say normal 5s for that case. Yeah. That's better. Does it make sense to add a dash in here? I think what we can do, we can make classic. We need to add classic like just to the corner and kind of like hide it all the way up here. or just more smaller font, because this classic's not really more important. What you're really looking, what your eyes are gonna look for first is whether it was a normal 5s or solo queue. So we'll do that after we do summoner. Alright, so let's do the what summoner you played. I mean champion, rather, sorry. Alright, so let's look at our object again. Let's get our magnifying glass. We just want to look for what champion you played. So here we go, champion ID. So that's just champion ID in the match. Alright, so now let's how we use the static data to get the summoner icon. We need to find the same URL to build up the summoner, the champion image, and that's under is this static data perhaps. Let's see. Where's the champion? If someone finds it first to me, let me know. It might be just this one right here. But this one, alright, so we have champion square. This one's passing the actual champion name. Is there one where you just pass the ID? Boy, that'd be convenient, but there probably isn't. And I believe someone sent me a message on Facebook, Twitter earlier today, where they wanted to build a database for just the champion names that correspond to their ID. So I think this might have been the reason why they asked that, unless it's this one. Okay, so it looks like we already have a static data here we can use. So this is actually what they wanted. So you don't even have to make a database. There's already a static JSON URL that you can pull from PHP whenever you need to look this up. I want to get this right here. So let's look at data. This is cool. Alright, so I'm still looking for, like, I hope this is not the only way to get the champion image by using a name. I don't know how that's going to behave when I have a space in the name. Is there a champion with a space in their name? Yeah, what's the last champion that came out? Where are you? Should be under T. Tam. I don't even see him. Are these Tam Kench? Yeah, I don't even see Tam Kench in here. Yeah, there's no result. So in this static JSON object here, doesn't even have the last champion. So let's say here if I put Tam Kench, object not found, then that was using this. So it's gonna be unfortunate when a new champion comes out if we rely on this JSON structure here to try to get the idea of the latest champion. It's not gonna work because it hasn't even been updated, which is okay. You just go ahead and add it yourself, sort of. But alright, this is what I'll do. Oh, okay, here we go. What's the sprite detail? So say I got a splash art. That's cool. We can use that on our site. Champion squares. Okay, this is it. So then we just need to pass this here. I'm just looking how we're gonna build our image. Okay. This is what we'll do. We're gonna take this URL and we're also gonna make an AJAX for this. We're gonna fetch it from the PHP, like we're fetching all the other API calls. So the person who messaged me on Twitter, I think it makes more sense than making a database where you wanna a database you wanna hit whenever you just wanna pull the name of a champion ID. I don't think you need a database for that because this data is pretty much static for 1 or 2 months at a time, and when there is a new champion, in case they don't update this, you can probably go in here or after you pull the request and you can just kind of just hard code it into the array, and I'll show you guys how. I hope that's gonna work. So here we go. Let's make a new function here. Let's call it get champions. And by the way, let me check if GitHub is working. It's not working. All right, so new function. It's gonna be the same thing. You build a URL. They're gonna do file get content. Then you're gonna decode that. This is where I want this because sometimes file get contents shows a warning that's not really important. And then we're just gonna return that champs variable. And guys, I'll be right back. Let me try to sync this right quick and I'll be right back in just a second. There's a call for that little Smith. I think it's the match details one. I had it pull up earlier. Someone mentioned it. But let me finish this and then we'll get to that if no one else answers you. Alright, so we got our function here. So now we can make that from summoner.js. So it makes sense to cache this information if the summoner does, or if the site visitor doesn't lift the page. You don't want to make that AJAX call every time they load a champion image. So we're gonna do the same thing we did with this customer service. We're gonna make a champion service. Alright, so we got our service set up. So now if we go to summoner.js, let's add that service. Again, the reason for the service is that we want to cache this so that as long as the person doesn't leave the site, we don't have to keep making a call to our PHP just to get this data. We can just store it in a JavaScript service and then use that in the future. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Alright, champion service, make sure that's spelled right. Alright. So now let's see, what would make sense? We need a chain of events here. Because for each match, there's a champion ID. So we need to make sure that we have this data already. Let me think, guys. What's the cleanest way to do this? Let's do this. So this Ajax object we built, we're gonna pass a flag to the backend. It's gonna call get champions. And this flag's only gonna be true if our... Just a second here, let me check how this looks. I forgot how the response looks. Alright, this is it. Oh, this is it right here. If it's an array object, alright. So hey, TSM Insanity. Where were you? You were in the chat, but you haven't talked. Alright, so this is what I'm going to do. So here, let's not even add that here because it's gonna get messy. So we have this object defined already. To this object, I'm gonna add a new key. I'm gonna say Ajax data get summoner. And then I'm gonna do my shorthand if and else condition. I'm gonna look at the summoner service. And then remember, to that summoner service, we added an array called champion list. Hold on. It's not an array. What is this? It's an object. An object, and then data is where the champions are found. So that's gonna be... okay, that's fine. So champion list, though that should be actually object. It's okay. So I'm gonna say champion list. I'm gonna say if this so this is what I'm doing, guys. Let me show you in my JavaScript console. I tried this out just to make sure it works. So when you have an object like this here, name and sal, and you want to find out how many keys that object has, you do object.keys, and then you pass in the object you want to find out all the keys for. And that returns an array of the keys inside this object. As you can see here, I got name and age. So what I want to do, and maybe this is not the optimal way, but it's okay. We want to be fancy sometimes. So here I'm going to say object keys, and then I'm going to pass in that service, and I'm going to say length at the end, because this returns an array after all. If this array is equal to 0, I'm going to set this get summoner flag to true, otherwise false. So now what's going to happen when we call get profile down here? Yes, Dero, I'll just call you that. Yes, I've been slacking as far as the last 2 videos because at the end, for some reason, Open Broadcaster kept recording like extra 5 minutes. I don't know if that's on Twitch, because when I checked on Twitch, it stopped when I clicked stop recording. But then if you don't close out of Open Broadcaster, it keeps recording locally. So I have to edit those 2 last videos and cut it sooner. So I'll do that tonight, and by tomorrow I should have 3 videos on YouTube, and I'll post a Twitter update of that. Alright guys, so now I'm just going to pass a flag to the backend, just to tell the backend to get the champion JSON information. So right here. So now if we go down here to get profile, okay. This is what I'll do. Even if we got a 4.0, no. Let's just do it down here. Guys, and soon, maybe off Twitch, I'm gonna move this code around. This should all have its own functions, its own individual functions, because these are all their own API calls. And then when we do things like get profile, that has to be in its own class that uses the class that has all the individual API classes. I just gotta move those around, and I don't want to take time to do that on stream because I already wasted it doing ng class stuff. But alright, so what I'll do here So I'm going to say the same thing I did in JavaScript using the shorthand for if and else. I'm going to look at that that get champions flag. So I'm going to say this data get champions flag, which is right here. Or no, it shouldn't be get summoner. It should be get champions. This is going to be a flag, get champion list. And we're only going to set this flag equal to true when our service, which is what we're going to use for caching this information, when our service is empty. And that's what we're saying length equals 0 here. So when it's 0, that's going to set the flag to true, telling us that in the back end, we're going to have to get that information. So when this data get champion list equals to true, and I can here type in true, but I don't have to because the shorthand for that is just to leave this like that. I think if it behaves the same as JavaScript, we'll find out. If we want to test for this condition to be false, then we just add the exclamation mark. Alright, so when this condition is true, telling us that, hey, we need to load the cache with that information, we're going to call self, and then it was called get champion list, I think. So where's no, it's just get champions. Let's call it get champion list for consistency. Otherwise, I'm gonna set this equal to just null, because we didn't have to look that up. Alright, so now our backend's gonna do that. So let's see what happens when we load the page. Object, I misspelled object. Let's see, where's that? Okay. Be object. Cannot convert undefined or null to object. What did I do here? Champion list. Let's see, is champion list, champion service, object key slot. Alright, just a sec, let's see what happens. That's what I'm doing here. Oh, but hold on. Oh, that should be right. Object key, summoner service, champion list. This is going to return an array that I'm calling. Champion service should be defined already. Our champion service. Let's see what happens if I just have a blank object in here. I feel like I have just bad syntax somewhere. I'll find it. Refresh. Alright, so we got an error from PHP. That's okay. First, let me make sure. Okay, so this is setting it to true. And then on line 87 on PHP, Just get champion list. So the champion list, return champs, get champion list. Okay, so there should be a question mark here. Refresh. Okay, so now if I look at my response, here's our champion list, guys. So that's working. Now we need to find out why when I call my service and summoner.js, it didn't work. So let's try that again. And this was champion list. Not sure why that doesn't work. It worked now, so I guess I just had something mislabeled. So alright, so you just visited the site, right? So there should have been no cache data. So that's why get champion here got set to true. Correct? So now I need to store this champion list response part of my object here. I need to store that in my cache. So let's do that at the end here of my Ajax. When the data comes through, I'm gonna cache the champion details if it was requested. So I'm gonna do this. So I'll do champion service dot champion list. If we told it, if this flag got set to true here, then we might as well get the response and cache it in our service. Data, and I believe it was called champion list. Yep, champion list. Champion list. Data champion list. Otherwise, just set it back to itself. So here I'm just gonna set it back to itself. That's fine. Maybe you can come up with a more elegant way. I just don't like throwing if statements everywhere. Oh, so you guys want to work on something for the competition? You know, I got a good idea for the third category for the items. Which ones of the categories were you guys planning to address? Alright guys, so let's keep talking in the chat. I'll keep reading. I want to make sure I get this working because someone wants the champion IDs to work. Alright, so let's load the page. So when we load the page, when you send someone this URL, there should be no cache. So you should be requesting get champion list, right? So that's set to true. So if we look at our response down here, we got champion list right here. Now say that and there's no way for me to test this because I gotta somehow have a back button to go back to the search. There won't be no way to test this. Riot developer API. Done my years with that. Broke my Mac Pro over that. Fucking hate Riot now. What happened there, U.S. Marine? How did you break your laptop? Yeah, find out how many teams, how many people on a team, and if there's more people than we, if there's a lot of people, we can just have multiple teams, and I'll just advise. I don't know how that'll work with Riot. 2 people per team. See, there's gonna be some rules that we won't be able to step on. Alright guys, so we're getting close to showing the champion image that you play with. So this is what I'm gonna do. Alright, so this is our champion list information. We got, I wish this was in objects. I mean in an array, not in objects. So this is gonna be a little troublesome. We might have to reformat this. Because what I want to do is I want to look at each match has a champion ID, correct? Now if we look at this champion object we got from the static data, this is all in an object. This is not an array. So shoot, man, shoot. I'm gonna have to do some dirty filtering again. All right. Okay. All right, let's see here. U.S. Marine 1967. First issue, use arrays. Parsing ain't good with objects. Yes, that's what I'm gonna do right now. Objective program was never meant for me. Okay, so what a method could you tell what X player had bought from Shop Live? Make instead of loading all champs, let it load just the needed one. I'll let it check like if match stat champions equals match stat champion key. Well, I don't want to hit the database or the backend at all, just to get a champion name. I want to just pull it once and have it in JavaScript, and then I'm gonna use find with attribute to find the champion name by using the ID. So watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have an array that I want to build up, and this champion object is gonna look like this. Here we go. We're gonna pass in champion list, and then this data object is our object for all the champions. So we need to filter through all the keys, and the keys are just their names, and then we're just gonna push this object into our array using the key. So watch. So I'm going to do a loop here. And my loop, I'm going to loop through each key in that object. And each key, as we just said, is the champion name. Alright, so now if I take this object and specify the champ name as the key, it should give me each champion object. So here, Aatrox is an object. And then what I'll do is that I'll push this object into the new array I'm building here. So let's do that. I'm going to say array push champion object, and then I need to specify the key, which we're looping through here when we call object keys, and each key is the champion name. We should do it. So this gets a little tricky, and that's just the way we want to do it, because we don't want to look through a champion and an object. That's going to get tricky, especially when the object is just a bunch of keys of names. How am I supposed to know the name that the person played in the first place? What I want instead is an array, because then we're going to use find with attribute. And find with attribute, if you guys remember when we made this, you pass in an array, then you pass the attribute you're looking for, and then the value of that attribute. So just bear with me, I'll show you. Let me see if I can catch up with the chat. So it's only 2 people per project, huh? I might... Yeah, I don't know if we can work on the project during the stream. And I much rather have you guys team up in the chat. And I want to see what you guys can make from just what we've learned so far. I think that's definitely a better idea. Alright, so let's keep going, guys. We made this new function here that we're gonna use to rearrange this object we're getting back. So watch this. So now I'm gonna call that function I just defined. And honestly, I could have done this a little better, I admit. Do I have to call this function? Yeah, I do. So watch. But I'm not going to use this shorthand if. I'm just going to go with an if statement now. Let's see. So if this flag, this is the initial flag we're passing to the backend to pull this data. If it was set to true, then that means I'm going to update my service cache. So I'm going to say champion service set champion list. Let's call it that. set champion list. So now we gotta rename this function, set champion list. And at the end of this function, let's just alright, I'm gonna explain this in a little bit. Let me make sure it works first. The service, so champion list gonna equal array. Alright guys, so let's see if this worked. Let's go to summoner.js, then I'll explain it. Alright, let's see. Champion list. Okay, I see what happened. That should be, I should be passing in here champion list dot champion. Salis, Windows 10's worth the upgrade. Other than a couple UI features, I don't see any performance increase. Maybe a little bit on startup. If you're happy with where you're at, I don't recommend it. If you're just like me, curious about what they change and the settings, and you like just playing around with how your windows look, then I recommend it, because that's what I do. That's why I do it. I just like it because I like changing stuff around. Again, if you're happy where you're at, stay with whatever windows you have. Alright guys, let me check if GitHub is working. I'm gonna Google this issue later. Alright, so we got an error. Cannot convert undefined or null object. That's okay, we can debug this. What do we get back from the server? Champion list. Oh, it's data, not champion. So I just added the wrong. That's what I had. No, it's data. I had the wrong label there. Alright guys, I'm taking, this is why I needed to have this tutorial, because little things like that, if you have little experience programming, it might not be clear how you can just get the champion icon. So it's good that I'm doing this, and I hope you guys are following, or at least have an idea of what I'm trying to do. There's basically a static URL that has all the champion information. So this makes it to where you don't need a database just to get a champion name by the ID. Instead, you can use this URL and you can add it to our Riot API.php, and it's like you're making an API call. So here it is. I just got that URL, I pasted it here. File get content. Just, if you want to explain it in a way, it just copy and pastes all this text. This is all text so far. But the trick is that this text represents JSON data. The curly brackets and the carets. A curly bracket is an object, and then the other thing is just an array. So at this point, when we say file get content, all we have is just that copy pasta right there. And then what we do next is that we decode that string into native PHP code. So that's why we use JSON decode. So instead of having a database, we're just gonna pull this information whenever that information is missing from our cache service. And that's where we made the champion service. The champion service is gonna get populated when you load up your website, and it's going to see that this champion service is null or empty. It's going to say like, hey, let's tell the backend to pull that data. Once we pull it, if we go to summer.js, I am going to store it in my array. So here's our if condition where we tell the database to pull this. And then down here, if we told the database to get if we told the PHP to get the champion information, then we're going to cache it so that if your person stays on your website, if they make a simple transition between summer.js and then another Angular module, we can just use our champion service we made, which contains that information cached. We'll just use that the next time. So that's why we're doing that, guys. And I'm almost done setting it up. Once we set that up, then I can use that information to get the champion image I played for my match history. So we're almost there. Someone requested that, and we're just setting up all the prereqs just to do that simple. In theory, it is simple. We just want to show an image of a champion. How do we find out what champion, though? We need to set all this up before we do that. So we're almost done. What was I going to do next? I was going to save this. I think it should be working now. Refresh. Alright, so if we look at our champion list, and this is what we wanted. Instead of having an object where each key is a champion, now we have an array of champions that we can use with find with attribute. So that's good. So for example, Akali, for some reason her key and not ID, her key is her ID. So this is what we're going to do. Alright, so we got that set. Awesome. We don't need to lock this anymore. Well, actually, let me show you in the JavaScript console what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and store this in my JavaScript console so that I can play with it. Alright, so for example, let's say I have a match where I play Tariq. Then that match is going to have the champion ID of 44. So when I have my array of matches, what I'm going to do is we're going to use our friend find with attribute. And I want to find the object in this array that corresponds to the champion ID 44. So we'll do this. Using our friend find with attribute, we're going to pass in the array of champion data that we just generated. Our champion list. In this case, we just have it called temp1 because I'm using the Google Chrome's JavaScript console. And then if you remember that function was actually, let's load up that function so we know what it looks like. All it takes in is an array, an attribute, and the value. So there's the array. Then we're going to pass in the attribute we're looking for. In this case, it's going to be key. And say that if my match had the champion ID of 44, this function is going to return the object Tariq. Or maybe it didn't. Okay, it returned the index. So it is 95. So then what I'll do next, if I wanted to get that object, I just specify that index. And in this case, this object here is Tariq. So that's convenient. So now we need to do that for all the matches. So we're already doing a loop for each match where we created a clean label. Now let's add a new key for each match. And each key is going to have an object for the champion you played in that match. So we're getting pretty close. So first, let's look at all those 10 games. Or the game array. Where is it? It's this one. Then we have match. Then we have games. We have array. So in this object here, we're gonna add a key call champion played, or maybe we could call it champion object right under champion ID. That should be put automatically. So champion, let's just call it champion object, and we'll keep object shorthand. So we'll use our friend find with attribute. So we need to call the array first because we want to get the index, and then using that index we get the object. So first, this is the array. And then I believe it was champion list. Let's look at our app.js. What was that array? Champion list. Champion list, and then I want to say find with attribute. And again, you got to pass this array. Then the key we're looking for in this array was just key. And then what we're passing in is match champion ID. Right, let's double check. Alright, see? Champion ID. So now that should, for each match, we should have a champion object that contains the champion object for that match that I played. So if we go to games, here we go, we have a champion object. So in this case, I played the champion ID 30. Now I have an object that corresponds to Carthus. And now if we look at this object now has image, Carthus.png. We can use this value to get our champion square. So this is exactly what I wanted. We'll get there to some insanity. For now, let's show the champion I played. Alright, so using this URL here, we are going to add an image to summoner HTML, and we're looking for the ng repeat for each game. Here it is. Let's add that in here. And we're gonna have to pull this to the left. And using our friend ng source. And then the only part of this URL that's going to change is the champion PNG. Too many brackets. So now in here, I'm going to pass in that file name, which if we look at our log, it's under champion object image full. And it looks like we can use group later to get more images. So again, that's champion object image full. So now in here in our ng source, we are gonna say match champion object image full, and let's do this in a prayer if it works. It might not. Alright, so we're getting images, but it looks awful. But hey, we got an image. We just gotta fix the CSS here. But hey, this is good news. We got an image right off the bat. So let's see what happens if I just make that image shorter. Maybe I'll fix it. Alright. Where do you guys think is the best place to place the image? Maybe it should go underneath. And now we need to set the height. Up too small. And I think that this list has a limit of how big it can be, so we gotta increase that. So we have here ng repeat ng class. So I'm just trying to edit this in CSS to pick the best layout. Hold on. I wonder why this doesn't show up like it has a margin, but it does. I know for sure it does. Alright, I need to find out what's this margin. And when I look at it down here, it doesn't have it. So it's Bootstrap again, messing with me. I make it on the same line as the KDA personally. Under it seems off. Not sure how you mean on the same line. So you're saying kind of like in here? Doesn't look too bad. We just need to fix our max height. Yeah, I kind of like that. Good suggestion there. Alright, so that gave it more room, but now this is really huge. Let's find the best height for this. Okay, so we're gonna end the stream in a couple minutes after this, after I get it committed. But I think this is a good place to stop. And let's see how that looks now after we change the height. There you go. We can work with this. I mean, it's still a little Could be better. We can add some margin next to this image to give it some more room. So the reason is because we're doing pull left. We probably won't need to do pull left. Let's get rid of this class. And then there we go. I actually really like that. How about you guys? So what do you guys think? Mission accomplished? You guys think that was a lot of detail just to get the image? Insanity is gonna make it more beautiful. We'll see. Send me a tweet when you do, please. Alright, please ignore my API key.php this time. I just installed an update. Let's see if that works. Alright, so now if do I have to commit this if I added it to the ignore? That's what I don't know. Uncommitted changes. Alright, I'm gonna sync. Syncing. Right, I think that worked. So it looks like I just needed to update GitHub here. Yeah, maybe, let me see. A minute ago, yep. So you guys can go ahead and pull. So yeah, guys, I think that's really cool. We got that working. Unfortunately, most of the stream was spent battling out with NG class. That was a tough battle. We went into that not thinking it felt so hard on us. Oh, Prodigy, you sent me a friend request on NA? I thought I did. Let's find out. Did you send it today? Because I haven't logged in today. So I didn't. I haven't logged in at all today. So let's see if I got your friend request. Nope, I don't see a friend request. Is that you? There we go. It's time to rep that Vulcan icon. Vulcan. Where are you? So yeah, guys, again, I committed. It's a good place to stop. Like I said, we spent too much time on NG class, so that's just unfortunate. But for next week, we'll be a little better prepared if I plan on pulling another NG attribute. I'll make sure that it actually works. Little Smith to Sal. Gonna do some work. Okay. You guys are awesome. The people that do chat, TSM Insanity, Little Smith, Prodigy, a couple other names. I'm glad you guys keep the chat active. How would you expand the box around each match, like what I just did? Because this is responsive. This is meant to adjust based on your screen size. So it's really, I do have a percentage around the width of the panel. Look there, I have a percentage for the width. So if you want to expand that, just increase the percentage. Alright guys, so thank you all for joining. Had another great stream. You guys make it fun. I hope I got through all the questions. Alright, so if this person here, if you're on stream right now, type in the chat. Let me know if I answer your question. Yes, I'm gonna turn off the webcam for now. Or for the remainder of the stream, so I'll be here. I'm just gonna answer some questions. So yeah, this person asked me one more question. Match history, I have the idea of the champion, but I don't want to make one more API call to take the name of the champion. I'm thinking about making a PHP script that creates a MySQL DB database with all the champion IDs. Do you think it's a good way of having static data on my SQL database? So today, I hope that I answered your question. I don't think it's a good idea to just have a database with static data. Static data that's only going to change every 1 or 2 months. Today we implemented a more reliable way, I think, where we're using the champion service to cache static data from Riot's ddragon URL. So whenever we need to get champion information, we just pull from that URL. And then we cache it on JavaScript so that as long as the site visitor doesn't leave your page, that information is cached. So we can just use that for the remainder of their site visit if they were to pull more information. So I'm pretty sure I addressed that question. If there are any more questions, go ahead and type them. You guys got like 4 more minutes. Alright, I don't see any more questions. Alright, so we'll be back Monday at 7:30. I promise to put up the last 3 streams we did. That includes this one. I'll upload that to YouTube and send a tweet out when that happens.
BBS entered channel.
Why don't you invite Nolan?
Yeah, hold on.
No, it's fine. We can wait.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
BBS moved to League of Legends.
Interrupted. Again, I'll send a tweet out when I upload those videos to YouTube. Until then, you guys got the weekend to catch up and study. You can send me questions on Twitter. Unless you're TSM Insanity, don't send me questions. That was a joke, by the way. And alright. That's the end of this session. I'll see you guys next week. Until then, take care and thank you.